I am Dr. Mahdi Mason, and my passion is helping people to understand how much the environment does for their minds, bodies and spirits, so that they automatically want to protect it themselves, so they don't need people like me out there telling them why it's important to do these things. So they're naturally motivated to help the earth. And we all know it. We've all evolved in nature. We've all got that wisdom in our systems, in our DNA. We just need to remember again. And once people understand that it's important to look after the environment, it's then that I can help people with the really practical tools to help the earth. And there's a real fundamental problem with the way that we're helping the earth at the moment, or trying to. So I see it as my role to educate people on that thing that's not quite right, that's not quite effective in our current approach to environmental management, and so that everyone can start doing things in their daily lives that will actually make a difference. So the issue is with our current approach to helping the environment is that everybody is so focused on reducing our impact. So when you think about what most people do when they're trying to be eco-friendly, they'll do things like using reusable coffee cups, using reusable shopping bags, using energy efficient products, trying not to use fossil fuels, basically doing anything to lessen our impact on the planet. And all of those things are really great and they're really important, but the problem is those things are still destroying the earth. So they're just destroying the earth at a much slower rate than the alternatives. So if you think about the coffee cup, the reusable coffee cup, there's still been materials that have gone into it. There's still been energy that's gone into creating it and to transporting it to you. There's still been, materials that have gone into the packaging of that product. And once you finish with that product, there'll still be waste. So these eco-friendly products that we're all using, which are great, are just destroying the earth still. So what we need to be doing is reducing our impact and then doing things to reverse our impact as well, because the current state of the environment needs our help. We're currently on the path to extinction. So we need to be doing more than just focusing on reducing our impact and remembering that we have to reverse our impact as well. It's important to understand that it's okay to have an impact on the environment. We are natural creatures, we've evolved in nature and we're allowed to have an impact. It's just that the type of impacts that we're having and the scale of impact that we're having at the moment is way too out of proportion and not sustainable. So there's so many things we can do to start reversing our impact, and most of them don't cost anything at all, and we can do them from our own homes. And we can give back to the environment both physically and metaphysically. So physically is, the things that most people who aren't interested in spirituality or aren't interested in energy, people who like science, straight down the line, black and white, that anybody can do. So things like giving us space in our yard. So just maybe a metre by metre, if that's all you've got, gifting that space back to the earth and allowing whatever you would like to grow there, whatever the earth would like to grow there, to grow there. Instead of trying to make it look like what humans think looks great, trying to maintain it so that it's, nice and neat, gift it back to the earth so that it can just thrive and allow whatever wants to grow there and to live there. And that's my favourite out of all the ways to help the earth, is to just give some of it back to the earth. Because in our houses and where we live, we've already wiped out so much vegetation and so many animals to be able to live there. Some other ways we can give back physically is to perhaps have habitat boxes in our backyard so that animals that used to live in our area can start living in our yards again. We can create spaces so that they're welcoming to lots of different species in our yards. So we can have some leaf litter in one spot, some rocks in another spot, lots of different plant species, maybe a pond, all of these things that will encourage life back into our yard. We can leave out bits of water for birds and for little insects so that they can use them, especially on a hot day. That's a great way to give back to the environment. We can plant native local species of plants that don't require much maintenance. So we don't need to water them very often. We don't need to give them much nutrients because they're already used to the types of soils and the climate in our area. We can compost. This is a great way to give back to the earth. So instead of our food waste going to landfill where the earth can't use it at all because it's in these lined pits that the nutrients can't get through, we can start giving those the nutrients back to the earth through our food waste and through composting. And anybody can do composting. You can even have a little worm farm if you live in a unit and you don't have your own backyard. There's so many ways to do it. We can set up little permaculture systems in our own houses, in our own spaces. And essentially what that means is putting ourselves in our own food system. So growing our own food and then giving back with our waste in other ways to include ourselves in the food cycle. So that's just some ways that we can give back physically, but there's also so many things that we can do metaphysically as well. And the very first one and the simplest one, I think, is to educate other people on why it's so important to give back to the earth. So educating people is this energy transfer between people, so you're helping the earth energetically. We can place crystals around our places, around our houses, and we can activate those crystals, and that will raise the vibration of the property. We can get property healings, entire property healings, and I actually do these for clients, where you can wipe out or heal a lot of the dense negative energy that you have on your property. So things like negative ley lines, underground water which is carrying a dense energy, psychic energy that's built up on the surface, and most houses and most properties will have some psychic energy that's built up there. Or EMF and radiation. There's so many things that could be impacting your land that you don't even know about that can be healed. And once they're healed, the vibration of the property is lifted. So that means the earth can thrive again. So that's a great gift and a great way of giving back to Mother Earth as well. Another way to give back energetically is to look after ourselves, because we're very much connected to the earth. And when we look after ourselves, we're actually looking after the earth. So when we're happy and we're healthy and we're looking after ourselves, our vibration increases ourselves. And so that means that we have less of an energetic imprint. We're less dense on the environment around us. So we allow it to thrive through that way as well. So there's so many ways that we can give back energetically and physically. I wrote my book, Earth Healing, Healing the Earth to Heal Ourselves, to help people understand how they can give back to the environment, because we are so busy taking from the environment all of the time. 99% of what we purchase goes to the various waste streams within the first 6 months. So if that isn't a sign of all the things that we're taking from the earth and not giving anything back, and how unsustainable our culture is, I don't know what else is. So my book really aims to empower people with really practical tips for helping the environment to live more sustainably, and also to benefit from the environment and nature themselves, to understand how much nature does for our minds, bodies and spirits, our happiness, and how essential it is for us to connect with the earth. When we think about what nature does for us, so many people have forgotten that we actually are literally dependent on it for our survival. We need nature for our minds, bodies and spirits, but our survival. We need it for food, water, shelter, medicine. It's not doctors and it's not the supermarkets that we're dependent on to survive. It is actually nature. So we need it for our physical survival. And when people think about helping the environment, often they think that people like me are trying to be good Samaritans, or that they're doing this selfless act. But the fact is that we need it for our survival. So when we help the environment, it's actually just logical. It makes sense and it's essential. And there's no one out there that's doing anything that's not necessary, because we need to be looking after the earth. So we need it for our physical bodies and our physical well-being, but we also need it for our mental well-being. And it's been shown that just 5 minutes looking in nature, so looking at a picture of nature or 5 minutes spending time in nature, reduces anxiety and stress. An hour in nature increases our mental capacity, it increases our memory, and it increases our concentration by 20%. So that just goes to show how much being in nature actually allows us to function at capacity. And when you consider that we've evolved in nature for thousands and thousands of years, it's really no surprise that we need it and we need to spend time in it and we need to be connected to it for our bodies to function as they were designed to. Also, spiritually, the environment is important for our bodies. We get our life force energy from the environment. And we also need that energy, the earth's energy, up through our base chakras to balance our entire bodies out so that the energies can flow through our entire bodies and function correctly that way. So we need nature not just for survival, we need it to stay calm, to thrive, and to be happy.